And on today's unbiased short take, JB is still in the process of moving. Helped him the other day get some of that done, and he does not have his setup fully done for what he's got going on with the unbiased world. So we are still doing short takes this week with the Doordash competition, and moving needs done, yes, but there's still football and content to be talked about. So watch out for JB's short take, and go check out his short take on this week's predictions on Doordash competition as well. The Doordash competition, by the way, JB just can't seem to get away from the 500. I made a joke with him earlier today in person when I seen him that he is the new Jeff Fisher, for those who are old enough to know who that is, of Doordash competitions. So he's 32-32. JB has been 500 every week, and I am not doing really much better. I'm 37-27. So I have a 5-game lead on JB, and there's plenty more games to talk about. So not really much of a lead going on there, and JB's looking to kind of get over that 500 streak here. So with that, we have football to talk about. But before we do that, we're going to talk about the Unbiased Hard Take Fantasy Football League update. And right now we have in Division 1, we have Butker's Trad Wife leading that division at 2-2. These names kill me. Prime Time, which is JB, second in division at 1-3, and then number 1 Colts fan at 1-3, also in that division. And then in Division 2, you have Swifty Nation 87 at 3-1 in that division, and then you have 13-time world champion, which is me, also at 3-1, and then Bended Like Beckham Jr. God, these names kill me. Like I said, at 2-2. So every team already, I mean, we're still got plenty more games to go in the fantasy league, and every team's already lost one and won one. So I think that's a good thing for competition purposes. You don't like to see one person run away with it. You want it to be a good competition. So we will see what this week brings. When it comes to this week, 13th-time world champion, which is me, will play number 1 Colts fan. Prime Time, which is JB, will play Butker's Trad Wife, and then Bend It Like Beckham Jr. will play Swifty Nation 87. So keep an eye out for more content on the fantasy football. Go check out on our Facebook. We do screenshots, all the scores, all stuff like that. So we keep you guys up to date on all that. Go check out that on our Facebook. The link to that will be in the description down below. Now, moving on to the world of Doordash. So, like I said, I have a 37-27 Doordash record, and JB has a 32-32. For JB's picks, go check out his Doordash Select Them this week, his video as well. But starting out on Thursday Night Football, you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Atlanta Falcons, and really a good matchup this week. You have Tampa Bay, who really bounced back well, considering they just lost to Denver the other day, a few weeks ago. And then you have the Atlanta Falcons, who the Falcons, they beat the Saints. The Falcons put up 26 points and beat the Saints by 2 points without scoring an offensive touchdown. You know how hard it is in today's NFL and today's rules and today's world to put up 26 points without putting up an offensive touchdown one time. The Falcons have a good overall team if they can just get the offense going, and I think they will. Bijan Robinson's health, he said he's going to be fine in a quote after practice, and Kirk Cousins, I think, will eventually get his flow in. He's been a more than serviceable quarterback his whole career, and they have plenty of weapons. So, I mean, I don't worry about that. I'm happy to see them getting some wins. They're actually my division pick in this division. So with that, the Buccaneers, JB's really high on the Buccaneers. And, the Buccaneers are a really good team. I mean, they start the season out real good. Baker Mayfield's top in the league in passing touchdowns right now, so I can't dispute that. But, I mean, let's not forget a few weeks ago the Buccaneers did lose drastically badly to the freaking Broncos 26-7. And Tampa Bay. Who loses to the Broncos? I mean, that's all I'm saying. So I'm taking Atlanta here. I think what they've done, all those touchdowns being put on the board without an offensive touchdown, if their offense even improves slightly, they're to be reckoned with. So I think Atlanta's ultimately a better team here. I worry about some of the Buccaneers as whole. I think maybe Denver exposed some things, but I mean, Tampa Bay is off to a very good start, nonetheless. No disrespect to them. Atlanta's my pick in the division, and I'm not backing down from that. Atlanta has proven why they're a good team. And they held right in the end on Kansas City there as well. In that game they lost. So, I mean, even the games they've lost, they've stayed close to at least winning the game or keeping it close. There really was no blowouts. So I'm going with the Atlanta Falcons on that game. And then you have overseas football. I'm not going to complain. A lot of people don't like the overseas football. I don't mind it so much. I mean, it's 9:30 a.m. football on a Saturday. On a Sunday after watching Saturday college football. That's amazing. Get up at 9 a.m. You get to watch football at 9:30 in the morning, and then all the way to the Sunday night game. I mean, I don't know who's complaining about that. But anyways, so moving forward, we have the New York Jets at the Minnesota Vikings. I say at lightly because this is an overseas game at 9:30 a.m. So this breaks my heart. I'm going the Vikings here. The Vikings, gosh, they laid it on the Packers. I hate to say that. I was traveling with my wife the first bit of that game, and they laid it on them 28-0 at one point. Forced 3 turnovers on Jordan Love, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and beat Green Bay and Lambeau. That's one of the hardest things to do, and a really disappointing game. But Sam Darnold's leading the league in pass touchdowns right now, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm really ultimately been impressed with what Minnesota's been able to do. Aaron Jones was not able to get in the end zone like he wanted to and do the Lambeau leap as a Viking. Thank goodness the football gods made sure that did not happen. But he was effective in the game with over 100 total yards, and the Vikings got the win. So, the Jets are still a good team, but the Jets just lost 10-9. 10-9 to the Broncos? Maybe the Broncos are a little better than we say they are. Maybe it was raining in New York the last Sunday in that game, so, I don't make rain excuses. It's the professionals. So I worry about the Jets a little bit. I think they're still a good team, but Minnesota's proven, they're one of the last 2 teams unbeaten. So give me the Vikings. Then moving on to the Carolina Panthers at the Chicago Bears. This really is a tricky game to me. I'm going to actually say the Bears win this game here. The Panthers are an absolute inept team. Their win, I think, a few weeks ago was more of a fluke and kind of a team inspired on some change and things of that nature rather than it was actually how good the Panthers are. The Panthers are not a good football team, and they're back to showing it. They are 1-3, and it's going to be one of the only wins they get. David Tepper is an abysmal owner. And the Bears, beat the Titans 24-17, and the Bears have also beaten the Rams 18-24. Forced multiple turnovers on Matt Stafford. Held Kyren Williams to under 100 yards. Matt Stafford had an interception with no touchdowns. Under 20 points for the Rams. The Bears have a good defense. Marquez Sweat was making plays. Caleb Williams actually played a pretty solid game. He only had about 6 incompletions, if I'm not mistaken. And DeAndre Swift looked good, too. So the Bears, I'm going to give them some credit. I hate the Bears. I hope they lose. But they're miles ahead. The Bears are not a good football team. I don't think they're a playoff-worthy football team. But even the Bears are miles ahead of where the Panthers are. Yeah, the Panthers beat the Raiders 36-22. It's the Raiders. Let's not act like the Raiders are the Chiefs here. And then the Panthers quickly found reality, losing to the Bengals 34-24. Joe Burrow quickly put them in their place again. So, in Carolina, nonetheless. So, if that means anything. So, I'm going Chicago here. And then, yes, one of my favorite times of the week. One of them, not my favorite time of the week. We haven't gotten that far yet. But it is time to predict the Cleveland Browns at the Washington Commanders. And as many Commander jokes as I have, and as many Commander jokes as I will always have, the Commanders actually have a pretty good football team. They put up 42 points in Arizona. And Arizona, yes, let's not act like Arizona's a Super Bowl contender. But Arizona has some players. James Conner is a good player and a 1,000-yard rusher. Marvin Harrison Jr. is one of the best rookie wide receiver prospects we've seen in a decade. And Kyler Murray's proven to be a Pro Bowl quarterback in the past. So the Cardinals have talent, and the Commanders went out there, and they not only did they beat the Bengals a couple weeks ago on primetime football, they went in on a low-end game that would have been easy to come off of that Bengals win really high and kind of let the Cardinals beat you a little bit. But no, the Commanders came out and they absolutely obliterated the Cardinals from the start. It really wasn't close. You could really tell from the first snap. I know the score says it was close to the beginning, but the Commanders scored a touchdown on every single drive. Jaden Daniels looks like that dude. The dude literally only had 4 incompletions on 30 attempts. and 1 touchdown. Did have 1 interception, but he also ran 1 touchdown in for 47 additional yards. He's a dual threat quarterback, and has the Commanders playing really good football. I mean, dare I say the Commanders could be maybe a surprise playoff team this year. I mean, I don't think it's out of the question. They're playing good football. So with that, I think the Commanders win this game. Deshaun Watson, the Browns still have a good roster, but yeah, the Browns got to win. Deshaun Watson's just not good. I was high on him coming out of Clemson when he was draft eligible coming out of Houston, and it really is sad what's happened to Deshaun Watson. I mean, 16 points, they lost to the Raiders, who literally lost to the Panthers. Deshaun Watson, who they're paying all that money to, lost to Gardner Minshew, and Gardner Minshew had 130 yards, 14 for 24, no touchdowns, no interceptions. And Deshaun Watson has more civil sex assault cases on him. And he went out there 24 for 32, 176, 1 touchdown. They got the loss, 1-3. Not a good look. Not a good look at all. I'm not high on the Browns right now. Nick Chubb's still out, so they don't have him yet. So, yeah, I am going to take command here. So with that, we're moving forward. No more commanding jokes. The Miami Dolphins at the New England Patriots. I was going to save this for the next podcast, but I can't. Because it's been horrible. Me and JB have announced previously that we have 1 take each that we are allowed to change in our playoff picture, and I'm making mine now because the Miami Dolphins, if Tua is in there, they're great, and I don't expect him to play at least this season again. They've already played 4 different quarterbacks because if you look, they've played Tua, they've played Skylar Thompson, Tim Boyle made a couple throws for them already, and they've already played Tyler Huntley. So 4 quarterbacks in 4 games. Who's their quarterback? Tyreek Hill hasn't been explosive since Tua's been gone. Their offense is absolutely flat. New England has actually been competing in some games, ugly football style, and I'm going to roll with the Patriots here. I'm 100% out on the Dolphins. With what I've seen, they can't beat anybody right now offensively. They're not a threat to anybody. Jacoby Brissett and the Patriots offense is more of a threat right now than the Miami Dolphins, and I can't believe I'm saying that. So yeah, give me the Patriots here. Then moving forward to my home state, the Indianapolis Colts at the Jacksonville Jaguars. If those who do not know, the Jaguars are the only team left without a win. That's a sports fact of the day. Go check it out on my Facebook. Again, linking down below the description to that. So I'm going Indy here. The status of Anthony Richardson, I know he kind of came up injured, and Joe Flacco came in and absolutely looked outstanding in the Colts and Steelers game, where the Colts got the dub over the Steelers. So let's see Anthony Richardson. Because Anthony Richardson has actually struggled on throws at times this year, and it looks like his status is some hip limits on him on practice, so it looks like could lead to Joe Flacco starting at quarterback. So the quarterback situation is still up in the air. Joe Flacco last year was comeback player of the year, so they have the perfect guy to come in and do it. But the Browns of the playoff, for Christ's sake. So, and then you have the Jacksonville Jaguars, who I don't know what is wrong with them. I watched their Monday night game, and when I say it didn't look like the players were trying, I absolutely mean that. It didn't look like they were prepared to come out and play. It didn't look like anything at all. They've been obliterated already by the Bills. And then the Texans beat them also. So, the Texans are my Super Bowl pick. Division matchups are always hard, but the Jaguars, I don't see a lot of effort, not a lot of smart football. 0-4. Wow. Only one team's ever made the playoffs on an 0-4 record. So, I am going to pick Indianapolis here. I think ultimately, until Jacksonville wins a game, I have nothing for them right now. So give me the Colts. Then moving on to the Buffalo Bills at the Houston Texans. And it would be easy to pick Houston here. They're my Super Bowl pick. Yeah, they're 3-1. They got the win over Jacksonville. Stephon Diggs got his first rush touchdown. C.J. Stroud looks like himself, over almost 400 passing yards. But Joe Mixon is still hurt, and the running game is hurting because of it. Cam Akers still has yet one time to hit 60 rushing yards. He got 53 last week. 4.1 yards a carry. I mean, Nico Collins is an absolute beast. Stephon Diggs is good. Dalton Schultz. I mean, the Texans have weapons, but Buffalo got smacked around by Baltimore. And that was truly a surprise to me. I expected that game to be close. And the Bills went in there, it was 35-10, and I watched the game from start to finish, and it wasn't, at halftime, it was already 21-3 if I'm recalling correctly. So the game was virtually over at halftime. So I think the Bills, Josh Allen was only 16 for 29, 180. The Bills couldn't do anything on defense or offense. They couldn't stop a nosebleed. So I expect them to come out kind of offended and ready to kind of redeem themselves. So I think Buffalo wins a close game here. This might be my sort of upset of the week, if you want to call it that. I think Buffalo beats Houston, who is my Super Bowl pick. So then moving on to Baltimore at Cincinnati. Cincinnati still has had some obvious struggles. I mean, they're 1-3. And their only win is against the Panthers, and they only beat them by 10 points. They lost to the Commanders on primetime football. I mean, and mind you, the game was relatively still close at halftime. The game was only 21-14, a touchdown game at halftime, and then Cincinnati pulled away in the second half. So, Cincinnati still a lot of question marks. Baltimore thumped the Buffalo Bills, and that was sort of a statement win for them, I think. So I think Baltimore's back on track. They had a slump early on. So I think Baltimore's a better team here. Give me the Baltimore Ravens over the Bengals. I still have question marks about the Bengals. Like I said, they're 1 wins against the Panthers. I'm not reading too much into that. So then moving on to the Vegas Raiders at the Denver Broncos. And I think it would be easy to pick Denver here. I mean, they've won 2 games in a row, convincingly against the Buccaneers, and then against they held Aaron Rodgers to 0 touchdowns. You don't hear that too often. And then you have the Vegas Raiders. And the Raiders are a clown show, truly. I mean, you have Devontae Adams demanding a trade, Antonio Pierce kind of giving hints in his press conference about closed-door conversations about being ready to play. That was kind of called out Devontae Adams. But the Raiders, I mean, they beat the Browns, I mean, pretty handily. It was a 4-point game, but the Raiders beat them in the trenches, and overall, I think, outplayed them over the entirety of the game, truly. So I'm going with the Vegas Raiders here. I'm not really sold necessarily on the Denver Broncos yet. 2 good wins, but I think they kind of hit back to reality this week. And then we have the Arizona Cardinals at the San Francisco 49ers. Yes, the Cardinals are talented. They've shown that. James Conner is a good player. Kyler Murray's above-average quarterback, Pro Bowl-level quarterback. Marvin Harrison Jr. will be good. But this is still a young team that needs some players, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They've sort of been exposed these last couple of weeks, and that being the Cardinals getting absolutely thrashed by the Commanders. So I'm going to go with the Niners here. The Niners don't have necessarily a problem in the regular season. The Niners have a problem in the postseason, and the Niners are back on track. They still have some injuries necessarily. I'm talking more so about Christian McCaffrey, and is he going to play anytime soon? But you have the Niners came out and had a good statement win against the Patriots, 30-13. Handled them pretty well. So give me the Niners here. Then moving on to the New York Giants at the Seattle Seahawks. And the Seahawks allowed over 40 points of their defense and got shredded. I mean, ultimately. And Jared Goff caught a touchdown pass. A lot of trick plays got done on them. The Giants just aren't a good football team. I predicted last week that the Cowboys would win that game because Daniel Jones just isn't good enough. He's just not. And there was no touchdowns all game long for the Giants. And the Cowboys were able to pull away with the win. Barely. On Thursday Night Football. So the Giants just aren't a good football team. I think Seattle bounces back. I have them in my wild card picture in the NFC. So I think Seattle gets the win here against a bad Giants team. And then you have the Green Bay Packers, my favorite time of the week, at the Los Angeles Rams. And the Rams are struggling. The Rams lost to the Bears. Eesh. One interception for Matt Stafford. Eesh. Caleb Williams threw all over him. 157, 1 touchdown. DeAndre Swift had a good game, like I said. So the Bears handled the Rams pretty easily, really. Marquez Sweat had his way with them. There's a lot of holes on that Rams roster, and it's starting to show a little bit. So the Rams era couldn't necessarily be over. I'm taking Green Bay here. Green Bay went down 28-0 against the Vikings. I don't look for that to happen again this week. Matt LaFleur will have the Packers ready to play. And Jordan Love did have an overall, I would say, I don't know how to judge his game because he had a career high in passing yards, a career high in touchdowns, and a career high in interceptions. So that was Brett Favre thing I've ever seen. So I think the Packers bounce back here against the Ram team with a lot of question marks coming off of a loss to the Bears at 1-3, the Rams. So give me the Packers here at 2-2. Then moving on to the Dallas Cowboys at the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Justin Fields has really started to really prove his doubters wrong. Now the Steelers are coming off really an embarrassing loss with the Colts. They only lost by 3, now mind you, and Justin Fields did have a good day, over 300 passing yards. That's impressive. The problem is he led the team in rushing and had 2 rush touchdowns. I look for Mike Tomlin to make adjustments, and Dallas can't run the football at all, and there's a lot of question marks for Dallas. Yeah, they're coming off of a win against the Cowboys, but only 20 points for Dak Prescott, this high-paid quarterback, supposed to be Super Bowl window. 20 points against Giants and won by 5. Eesh. Not that impressed. So give me the Steelers here. I think they'll bounce back. And then to Monday Night Football, the New Orleans Saints at the Kansas City Chiefs. And I've said many times, I am not betting against the Chiefs at all until they lose a game. They're the defending champions. They're one of the last 2 teams that are undefeated in the league, and that's without Travis Kelce recording 1 touchdown. They're winning off of defense, and that's scary because it's when Mahomes and Travis Kelce find their connection again, that's going to be horrifying. Now, Hollywood Brown's out, Rashee Rice is out, Isaiah Pacheco is out with injuries. So the Chiefs are having a little bit of the injury bug. Let's monitor that, but I'm not picking against the Chiefs till they lose. It's that simple. They're defending champions, and while I might not necessarily like it, I'm going to have to respect it and absolutely pick the Chiefs here. The Saints, they're a mid team. Like I've said, I'm not betting on Derek Carr when it truly matters. So in prime time, give me Pat Mahomes over Derek Carr. And that is all for this week's. It's a little shorter because bye weeks, mind you, are the Detroit Lions, Tennessee Titans, Philadelphia Eagles, and LA Chargers all have bye weeks this week. So that is all I have for Week 5 NFL predictions. Again, I have a slight lead on JB here in the Doordash Pick'em. So keep track for more unbiased hard take coverage. We're going to be doing a lot more shorts, a lot more coverage. Next week, me and JB will be back in traditional form to some degree at some point. So next week, back to traditional form. Check out JB's short take on his Week 5 prediction pick'em for Doordash competition down below. I'm coming for you, JB. Can't wait to get back in person with you, man. So that's all I got. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, like us on Facebook. Check out these Sports Fact Today. Follow on Spotify. Also, link to our Spotify and Facebook will be in the description down below. So, unbiased hard take family. Until next time, that's all I have. Packers coming in for a comeback win against the Rams here, coming to redeem ourselves. We had a really, really rough start against the Vikings. You can't go down 28-0 and expect to win. And we only lost by 2. And I think they came back very well, but you have to play a full game. You can't just come out and play the second half. You got to be ready to begin the game. And ultimately, that starts with coaching. So I think LaFleur will have them ready. At least I hope so. And Purdue did fire Graham Harrell as the offensive coordinator. Ryan Walters has to save himself somehow. He's on a short leash right now. He's not the guy, as proved in my short take in our short videos. So, again, that's all I got. Until next week, as always, let's go Heats. Basketball season's coming up. Under a month away till Heat preseason. We'll be bringing up that here soon. So then that, boiler up. Basketball's coming. Purdue football. embarrassingly bad. And most importantly, go Pack, go baby. Let's beat the Rams this week. That's all I got. We'll see y'all next week.